And here it is. Here we go. Last game. Score is 1-1 here at the GSL, the second round of Code A. To the left side of the map, we have Flash starting in red. Our Terran player was not able to win on Whirlwind. His opponent overwhelmed him with a very heavy gateway attack. He's starting to the right side in blue. It is a mini.
And I wonder how he will play Game 3. Game 2, big map, short game. And game number 3 is on just another pretty much straight up map that has been used in custom tournaments as well as EF tournaments alike. It's a ladder map that he's played on a lot. And I think that he will probably try to play the late game against Flash here this time. I don't think he's going to try any shenanigans. He's not going to do a big time attack, banking on the fact that his opponent was a little bit too greedy.
What is Mini doing in the booth? He's sitting as far away from the screen as humanly possible.
It just goes to show, if you look at Flash's posture in there, he doesn't pull an effort. All right, he's not doing a Yu-Gi-Oh. He's not got the Gollum pose. He's just very much so very good posture in there. Not to say you have to play like he does, but it's something I really noticed about how he sits in there.
Yeah, but the best posture is still Keen and Hyun, in my opinion.
Pretty good for sure.
Straight back all the time.
By the way, Mini gets a great scout here. He's going to be able to seek gas first, as well as deny this barracks a little bit. Maybe he has to pull off, just barely not.
Now he's still able to save the SCV, and of course he could always pull another one in order to just repair a couple of hit points. And at this point we have, as you already mentioned, we have the gas first for Flash, and Mini to the right side. He knows what's going on. He has all the scouting information that he needs. Can prepare accordingly.
And let's see, he comes in the second time. It's funny because I think he suspected the SCV would still be making the barracks, so Flash actually switched it very subtly there, so he wasn't able to pick that SCV off. We'll see the Cybernetics core go down here very soon for Mini, and he'll have to decide how he wants to respond to this fast factory play. Will he actually add gateways and then take a Nexus because he's going to expect a similar Hellion type play, or will he actually get a robotics up?
What he knows at this point is that there is no second gas just yet. Of course, this Marine is going to shut down the scouting for Mini in just a few seconds. The probe has already been rallied back to the top right. Doesn't die. But we have no second gas, nothing like that, so we won't see Cloaked Banshees, but still following things up with the Hellions for now. And as soon as the factory is done, he can still build the starport. He can go and just try to elevate in his opponent's face once again, the same style that he did on Ohana, where he got a huge lead by killing 10 Harvesters.
Yeah. It's looking so far like the same build. SCV is going out across the map though, but a little bit late, so I don't think he's going to actually proxy this time. He's been spotted, you know, by that Zealot. That's the SCV. He sent a Marine out as well. I thought that one might be going for proxy, but so far, no starport actually.
Yes, just sticking with the Hellions for now, and a Stargate for Mini on one base.
Again, this is kind of funny how this game is playing out. Also, I want to note that Mini checked very well proxies all over the south of the map, just making sure that there's no Stargates. Surprisingly so, did not check the third base location, but that one seems a little bit too obvious.
But you know what I think is pretty funny? Flash will probably not assume that there is going to be some kind of play with the Stargate. I mean, would you? At this point in time, if you see that your opponent already has the scouting information, he's scouting for your starport, a Stargate is probably the last thing that he's going to expect here. He probably just assumed that Mini would get a few stalkers, try to scout the corners of his base in order to make sure that there's no medivac heading into it. But if he really denies the scouting information though, and Mini buys himself some time and waits with the Phoenix before he moves out, he could do a lot of damage to an opponent who's completely caught off guard.
Yeah, especially considering the Flash is going to be very Marine light because he spent so much time building add-ons. Yeah, now he's making 2 Marines at a time with his reactor, but he doesn't have them out yet. He wasn't able to build that count. Flash is also, of course, as you guys have sure figured out by now, there's no Stargate, or excuse me, no Starport. He's getting his command center up, so he's going to have a lead in that.
The probe in the middle of the map dies, but the Phoenixes is still in the main base. Mini is continuing building the air units. How many does he have now? 2 or 3?
2.
Let me double check.
Third is on the way.
Alright.
And Flash takes a fast third command center, but this time this is much safer because he's doing so with siege tanks. He only has 1 tank out, but he'll start the second one as soon as he has the resources for it.
You know, the funny thing is that if Mini plays this well, he can take down so many Harvesters. He's moving in with only 2 Phoenixes. Might have waited for the third one to do more damage, but he really wants to hit a good timing here. Now he moves in. Yep.
And he knows he needs a third one before you can actually
Yeah.
commit to lifts, as you said. You can actually grab one here, though. You're just so fast.
He knows that the Marines are out of position. He takes a few hits on the Phoenix though. And killing this mule, of course, is great, especially in the early stage of the game. It's every single mule. It's so important. And now the third Phoenix is out. So he has 3 Phoenixes and he forces Flash back. Flash knows that it's going to be tough for him to move out. Oh, even catching the hell really well done.
Yeah, he's now going to hold the watchtower with gateway units. Actually, he's walking across the map with a few gateway units. He could try to attack. If there's no bunker, Flash will face a lot of pressure because his siege tanks are going to be lifted. He's only going to have Marines, no Mirage, and no Stim, of course, at this stage of the game. This is a really interesting attack by Mini.
Yeah. The Phoenixes are heading into the main base now, into the mineral line, trying to pick up the fuel units. The missile turret is not ready. He takes down another SCV. The Marines are in position, but in the end, Flash cannot prevent him from taking down another Harvester. Now, the gateway units come into the natural, and this is just a lot of aggression. In the main base is the natural.
He can force
everywhere.
Nicely done. There's nothing to stop these units. Oh, loses the sentry, though. That is really... Oh, wow, loses a star.
Uh-oh. Mini losing a Phoenix too.
That was really, really odd.
Uncharacteristic to what we've seen from him so far, so this was a little bit weird. With a force field in position, he could have just done so much more damage, but loses a sentry, loses a Phoenix.
Even a stalker he lost. I mean,
Yeah.
that was an attack that could have potentially killed every SCV. Now he's getting the robotic support bay up, which is still going to allow him to be aggressive going forward here, but it's not going to be quite as strong as it was. Plus, he should have done a lot more damage to that attack.
And the worker supply now is roughly even, whereas Flash builds the missile turret at this natural, so he will be safe against his opponent's Phoenix play. But the transition into the Colossus is something that Flash is not ready for just yet. He needs to have Vikings out on the map. He has more time now, of course. It's just the first Colossus that's being built and also the range upgrade. But of course, at this point, Flash just doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
Builds the starport.
He's... You know, the thing is, even with the first 2 Vikings out, dealing with these Phoenixes is going to be pretty annoying too, because he's going to have to make sure the Vikings are not picked off by the Phoenixes while he gets the Colossi out. There used to be an old strategy in like 2010 where you would actually go Phoenix and Colossi as your composition. It was kind of a weird, almost like straight up style where it's like, well, you have your Vikings to beat my Colossi, but my Phoenixes beat your Vikings type of style. It's kind of gone now. Oh wow. But he may actually go for it because he's getting +1 air weapons now, and he starts another Phoenix.
And what I also find pretty interesting is that, think about it, if Mini starts to hit the timing here with a few Colossi, just with range and maybe the second, then Flash will be faced with a decision whether he wants to get Medivacs or Vikings, because the starport was just so late. With the third base that he's now trying to get, he doesn't even have a single Medivac out on the map. So he really has to make a decision, and this will be very awkward for him. If Mini really tries to hit this timing, Flash will be in a very weird spot.
Yeah, he's going to feel very uncomfortable. In fact, he's probably starting to feel the pressure right now. One thing he does have, though, which is really, really crucial, is actually these 3 siege tanks, because siege tanks don't care what they shoot at. They can't shoot at air. But the Phoenixes pick up the siege tanks, that means they're not fighting Vikings. So the siege tanks are a great addition to Flash's army right now.
Mini is moving out with the 2 Colossi, the third one on the way, and range nearly completed. He's moving out, but at the same time he's also taking the third base, so he's not completely committing to a 2-base timing attack here. Just posturing on the map, getting into position on the high ground in order to take this advantage, and buying himself a bit more time. But you can also see in the production tab that he is doing exactly what we talked earlier. He's getting more and more air units. He's actually even building a second Stargate.
Yeah, this is pretty normal to see actually for that build I was talking about before, which is not normal to see anymore. But when you would do this build, you would go for double Stargate Phoenixes with 1 row of main Colossi. Your ground army would be very Zealot heavy because you're dumping your minerals into that, whereas all your gas are going to the Phoenixes, the Colossi, the range upgrades, some is forage upgrades as well. This is really interesting. This is a style I have not seen in a really long time, but it's a very good one. And like you said, he has to make Vikings, he can't make Medivacs. He's probably going to want to add a second starport soon.
If he doesn't get a second starport, then he will be behind in production, even with the reaction that he has.
Oh, wow. What a brave move by Mini to just hold his ground there without not all of his Phoenixes being there, not with his warped in units, but Flash was like, nope, not going to try to break up there. That was pretty tough.
Do we actually have a missile turret in the third base?
Yes.
He does. Has 1. That will help him. The second starport is now being built for Flash, so he knows that there's a very, very air-heavy army for Mini, and of course that he also needs something to deal with the Colossi.
Another strength of this build is that it's basically impossible for Flash to use drops. What if his drops just get spotted? He's going to lose everything. He's getting armor now for his Phoenixes, but it's really something you're going to be reluctant to do. He's got the Phoenixes to stop drops, so that sort of harassment that you might have is totally gone. He's not adding a second starport. He's getting only 2 Vikings.
No,
yeah,
he did.
Oh, okay. He's not
It's
using
already
it yet.
done. I think he's equipping it with a reactor as we speak.
Ah, you're right. Okay. I was like, that just doesn't seem to make sense. Okay. So, well, let's look at the counts right now. The counts are 7 Phoenixes to 6 Vikings, which is actually pretty comparable. But with Chrono Boost, you can make so many Phoenixes. That's why he needs that second starport. 1 Phoenix actually will beat Vikings straight up with even upgrades, but that doesn't count the Marines that are going to run in there as well.
Yeah, and it's not just the air battle. Those Colossi can do so much damage, especially when not targeted down by Vikings. So this is a very tough situation for Flash. As you already said, if Mini dumps all the minerals that he has into Zealots and just warp in another round, then he will have the meat shield in order to shield the Colossi. The Colossi can't dish out the damage against the ground army, whereas the Phoenixes take care of the Vikings, and if there are any left, they can still lift the siege tanks.
The upgrade advantage will go to Flash here at 2-1 to 1-1. He's actually adding 2 more starports right now. But Mini is really closing in on that max, and his composition is insanely good.
Flash just shows here that he's well aware of how dangerous this build by Mini is, and that he might not be able to get all those medivacs out in time. And of course the Vikings, which are even more important. He's trying to get as many as possible, which accounts for the 2 starports.
Oh, here we go. Viking versus Phoenix. Vikings have superior range, and they pick up a Phoenix. That's a great start for Flash. One thing you can also do in this situation is actually attacking his own siege tanks to get more Vikings. This is actually so smart. Now, another thing you could do is to make bunkers, because Phoenixes take a lot of damage from units of bunkers, and Mini is just trying to go for an attack here. Making a bunker or 2 would not hurt. Flash is actually walking across.
Yeah, Flash is trying to start this fight. He really wants to engage here. He's moving in, and we have the battle on the high ground. Immediately those Phoenixes are dealing with the Vikings, but the Stalkers are helping as well, while now the Colossi start to target down the ground units. All those fire units are being pressured. There are no siege tanks anymore. Flash killed them all. Both of them dropping in supplies. Another stim, a lot of damage dished out here by Mini, and Mini is actually in a pretty decent position with all the Vikings gone.
Yeah, he looks the Marauders now. A few more Vikings rallying in as he was making 6 at a time. This is such a close fight, but it looks like it's going to go to Mini.
Yeah, it's really close, but in the end it is Mini who prevails. You can see at the supply that he's still pretty even numbers, but now those medivacs die. There's just no anti anymore. The last Viking bites the dust, and the medivac is being killed immediately after that.
Yeah, this is actually inspiring to see that this old style can still work. You know, he didn't do anything crazy like add the Anion Pulse Crystal, so imagine if how the strategy could have been a little bit different. Flash now is not going to be able to get up his own ramp.
Yeah. It's just a short point that he cannot engage into, especially with the Vikings still facing all those Phoenixes. There are not enough Vikings at this point. Well, actually, there might be. There are no Stalkers left for Mini.
Yeah, and he's actually retreating in an awkward pattern. Now he's fighting.
The charge is not done, which is of course also a big problem for Mini here. With charge, this composition would be so much more dangerous, but with the position that Flash is in, he has a hard time connecting those Colossi.
Yeah, he can't run in because of the Zealots. Great little flank here with the Mars to actually make it a Colossus. He does get it.
He does get it indeed, but Mini is 40 supply ahead of his opponent.
And it looks like this is going to be the end. The Phoenixes have superior upgrades. And, you know, you talked about it earlier. Yeah, maybe he wins the air battle, but that's not what this is about. When Vikings are shooting at Phoenixes, they're not shooting at Colossi, and the Colossi kill the ground army.
But the problem is that Flash with his production is really pushing Mini back. There are so many Vikings now that it is tough for Mini to win the air battle on a constant level repeatedly. It's just like he needs more units right now. He needs to wait for the next round of warpins. It would be great for him to complete the charge upgrade too. So we still have Mini in a good position, but he hasn't won the game just yet.
And it's going to be 3-1 upgrades against 1-1 upgrades for the ground units very, very soon. And basically, because Mini has not added any other tech, he got charge, yeah, but he doesn't have Storm. He basically has to keep making these Phoenixes, because otherwise his Colossi are going to be useless, and his ground army is worse in upgrades, plus the medevac count can be added very quickly with this many starports. So he knows he has to end the game pretty soon. He has to continue to make Phoenix. Here we go. This battle is very critical, and Mini starts it off really nicely.
Flash tries to retreat, but he loses 2 medivacs and the Viking in the process, and now Mini is moving in once again. He has the superior supply numbers, and the air units for Flash are dying immediately. More Phoenixes are joining the battle and making sure that Vikings don't stand a chance. Which also means, of course, that those Colossi are completely uncontested.
Yeah, totally uncontested. Phoenix is going down a little bit to the left side, but now this base is losing more and more Harvesters. It's so hard for Flash to actually get in there.
Flash picture at the bottom left, he knows that he's in a tough spot here. A little bit thick-lipped.
Yeah, that's definitely so. GG!
Mini causing another upset. He was up against 91 in the first round, took down the foreign favorite, and now we suddenly have him taking down Flash too. Flash finds himself in the up and downs, and Mini advances to the 3rd round of Korea, where he is going to face Curious.
Mini is making a lot of enemies so far, I think, fans go. Really taking out 2 quite favored fans, but with good play and an old school style. That's actually the real story here, is that he was able to make Phoenix's work in PvT as a main part of his competition, a style that I have not seen in over a year, I think, at the GSL. Anyways, we are going to take a 5-minute break. When we're done, we're going to have 8th Team Terminator up against TSL Shine.